as you have evolved across multiple roles, because if you are part of a marketing and branding agency, you are working with across clients, and every client will have a different sense of reasoning why they're running that campaign or why they're throwing money on a campaign versus the other one. And from a commercial point of view, it has commercial reasons and very strong angle points. And whereas charities will have a different, and as you as a manager or as a campaign designer or the director, you have to shift mindsets from A to B. So how is that shift aligned with your individual purpose? What you talked about, sense of impact, sense of purpose, and giving. How does that correlate with in those situations of dichotomies at multiple levels?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting question. I think one of the things that advertising and marketing particularly taught me was that, you need to understand and have a clear sense of objective when you go about, campaign development. You really need to understand that it's not as simple often as just, increasing market share or growing brand awareness. There's a much more dimension to it than that. And you need to really clearly understand how consumers that you are targeting interact with you and your brand. And the smallest errors can lead to some significant outcomes. So, and I think the disciplines that world teaches you is that you've got to have an outcome. Otherwise, your return on your investment is often the sort of most uppermost in people's minds when they allocating money for marketing expenditure. So you transcend that across and transfer that across, I guess, to the not-for-profit and charity world, is that those disciplines of return on investment, be very clear on your objectives, understand how all of that aligns with your own organizational purpose is absolutely clear, and it's so important. Otherwise, I guess what happens is you drift and you really lose your sense of direction, and more often than not, because you're under-resourced and you don't have the same financial power that a corporate or a very large not-for-profit has, it is seriously it can be money wasted, and it can be time lost, and importantly, impact not made. So there's lots of interesting parallels. The difference for me ultimately came down to the measurable difference you're making to human life, and the measurable contribution that work that not-for-profit is undertaking is making to the broader societal benefit. And I always remember, a couple of very interesting things, that I picked up along the way from not-for-profits particularly was, they talk about in the social welfare world, a healthy population is a healthy society. And those kind of human driven impacts, I think is the key difference now, is that I think all too often, I think big brands are changing a lot, and they see this dimension much more, but it's taken them a lot longer to get there. Whereas I think it's intrinsic in a lot of not-for-profits DNA that they're making an impact by just getting up in the morning, to be honest.